Here and now, it's my pleasure to introduce Chairman Mike Rogers. As I said, he's from Michigan, in the Detroit, Ann Arbor area. He's a very good friend of mine, and I think one thing that it would be a good theme, and I think it's great to follow anywhere, but especially in what we do and on the Intelligence Committee, and it's trust and relationships. It's not about being a Republican or Democrat or who's going to win. It's you've got a mission, you need to work together. And I like to tell a story, it's not a joke, but I was a former investigative prosecutor, and Mike was a former FBI agent. And I've always said to Mike, you know, good FBI agents always listen to their prosecutors, even if we're in the minority. So, Mike, I appreciate the relationship that we have. Again, a little bit of his bio. He brings a wealth of intelligence and national security experience to his role, having served as an officer in the U.S. Army, as a special agent, also in the Federal Bureau of Investigation. In the wake of 9/11 terrorist attacks, Mike experience and understanding concerning the 9/11 attacks and wiretaps and all the things that he worked at have really helped him in his job, not only the FBI and now in Congress and now chairman of the Intelligence Committee. He continues to be a leader in shaping U.S. national security policy while reestablishing our Intelligence Committee's traditional oversight functions, including passage of regular authorization bills. He remains focused on fostering bipartisan collaboration to provide our intelligence professionals in the field and at home the tools necessary to keep America safe. He's married, has 2 children. He lives right now, when he's here, not in Michigan, in Northern Virginia. As I said, I appreciate you fighting the Virginia traffic and Baltimore traffic to get here. And you'll find going back it's a little bit better. And I just really happy that you can come and talk about this threat that we have and what's going on in our Intelligence Committee. Mike Rogers, Chairman of the House Select Intelligence Committee. Mike, thank you for being here.
All right. Thanks, Dutch. You know, the big news of today, I think, is that you have, it's about 46 days before the election. You have 2 politicians of different parties at the microphone before a crowd. No eye gouging, finger pointing, biting, scratching, kicking, screaming. No, I think we've done something here today, Dutch. First of all, let me thank Dutch. You know, when we took over the committee, it was in a little bit of disarray, maybe is too strong a word, but it wasn't very focused on the mission set that I think is so important, our national security. And national security, Dutch and I have agreed many times, is not a Republican or a Democrat issue. It is an American issue. And when we suffer an attack, we all suffer an attack. When our economy is attacked, we all suffer from that attack. So we sat down and I think have set, hopefully, a new standard in Congress how a committee like ours should operate. We operate more of a partnership, and Dutch is a friend, so that's an easy place to get to. But I think we've accomplished a tremendous amount of work with our staffs working together, with us working together to accomplish, I think, some important things for our national security. So I want to thank Dutch for that, and thanks for sending him up. And I appreciate the warm welcome here in Baltimore. You know, as a member of Congress, it's hard to get a warm welcome anywhere. Matter of fact, my dad now is saying, I've got 5 boys, 4 turned out really good, and I've got 1 in Congress. So really just kind of glad to be anywhere. Thanks. You know, Dutch has done a great job of laying out the case. I believe that we are in a cyber war today, and most Americans don't know it. I believe this is the biggest national security threat we have ever faced that America is not ready to face together. Mainly because it is so hard to see and get your arms around, and the complicated nature of it is just staggering. You know, it wasn't all that long ago when somebody would sit in their basement and we thought it was kind of a funny or a cute story in their bunny slippers of their mom's basement, going into the school computer to try to get all A's. Boy, do we long for those days. The most sophisticated botnet attack we have seen thus far, and it was actually highlighted by a Canadian white paper, which is exceptionally good. And you're thinking, well, what is a botnet and what does it matter to me? For those of you who were on your computer this morning, checking in and doing some emails or checking around on whatever, reading the newspaper, you turn it off, you went to work, you come to the breakfast. If that computer got infected in any way, somebody was able to get into your computer, They can now turn it off, or turn it on. You have turned it off and left for work. They can turn it on. And what they've done is taken 2,000 different computers at one time that we know of, put them together, right? So now you've created a supercomputer. The way we make a supercomputer is we stack capability on capability on capability, speed on speed on speed. So they turn yours on, and they do this all over the world. I think this one had 100 and, if I'm not mistaken, 126 countries where they had computers. And a nation state used that computing power all together, right? Yours and your neighbors and somebody from Germany and somebody from the Netherlands and somebody from Florida to attack a certain target. This one happened to be embassies. They were trying to get into certain embassies, overrun the computer, get in, steal information, and run like heck. And unfortunately, they were incredibly successful because that's a lot of computing power for them to even stop. One of you out there may have been a victim of a botnet and don't even know it. And that's just one small example of where we are today. The first briefing I got on this as the chairman of the, or when I got on the Intelligence Committee was about 5 years ago. And I thought, yeah, that's something we better pay attention to and we better start figuring it out. Well, within 5 years, it has grown exponentially worse. Exponentially worse. And I've never seen this before, I think, in our history, clearly in my lifetime, but clearly our nation's history, where a nation state will dedicate military and intelligence resources to go, not attack the government, they do that, but to go after business secrets or intellectual property, steal it, repurpose it in a nation, and try to compete directly against U.S. companies. Now think about it, if you can get a product of which I've spent $10 billion trying to research and develop and get to a place where I'm ready to make a product that goes out in the marketplace, and they've stolen all of that. They don't have the $10 billion cost. They clearly have other cost advantages. That company is in a real hurt. And so what we haven't seen is a nation state using those capabilities to attack our economic security as we move forward. We're often saying, hey, United States, we're the innovative leader in the world. That's how we stay ahead of the other economies. Well, what if somebody decided that their national security interests were to steal our next generation of economic prosperity? Guess what? It's happening today. Just the credit card company today that's in your wallet, one credit card company will get hit 300,000 times today to try to get somebody's personal information. So you have criminal actors on the internet that you've got to worry about. You have hacktivists who are trying to get in and cause trouble for whatever political leaning they may have. You have the attack that Dutch laid out very clearly about shutting down, a huge denial of service of our financial system, of our electric grids, of fill in the blank. And there's nobody more integrated on the net than the United States of America. No other country is as integrated. And then you have this other threat of cyber espionage that is at a breathtaking level. Now we have an interesting thing. China is, as Dutch and I have publicly talked about frequently, is certainly the largest, most prolific user of cyber espionage in the world to steal your stuff, repurpose it, and compete against you. But actors like Russia who are starting to get into the game, and they're more sophisticated than China, I think, cyber-wise. But then you have other countries, irrational actors. Iran is trying to build its capability. So we think China is probably not going to shut down our electric grid, right? We owe them too much money. It is early, isn't it, Dutch? Well, you told me it was kind of... Russia is probably not going to shut down our electric grid, that mutually assured destruction thing. They get it, right? It's worked on nuclear weapons for the last 50 years. But what about nation states like Iran, who are under pressure from the world, who are gaining capability? Would they make the irrational decision to maybe go in and do something that would have a catastrophic event in our country? Some say yes, some say no. I'll tell you what, I don't want to find out. And on top of that, while we're worried about all of those things, China has been stealing our intellectual property, as I said before, to the tune of over $1 trillion total. Think of that, $1 trillion. There's one company in the United States, a very high-end manufacturing company, because of theft, we believe from China, has lost 10,000 U.S. manufacturing jobs. One company. And it happens every day to thousands of companies. I think there are 2 companies left in America that have any value in intellectual property. Those that have been hacked and know it, and those who have been hacked and don't know it. This is as serious a problem that, again, I have ever seen that we just can't quite get our arms around. If we don't do something soon, we are going to lose the cyber war. If we lose the cyber war, we lose the next generation of innovation. We lose our position on national security around the world, and it's that serious. We are just one day, one event, one irrational actor away from a catastrophic attack in this country. And every day, somebody's stealing something of value from you, our business community. That's why Dutch and I talk about it so much. That's why we did pass the bill that he highlighted about information sharing. Pretty simple bill. It was 13 pages long when we introduced it. We actually thought about adding an amendment of some 400 pages of absolutely nothing, just to let you all know we were serious. It is a very simple bill. It says if the government, the NSA, the others, have information, that malicious source code, we see it coming. This is amazing to me today, but they're not allowed to share it with you all. We can protect our own government networks. We can't give it to you and let you protect your networks because it was obtained in a classified way. Law prevents us from doing that. This bill is really very simple. Let the government share what we know. As an old FBI agent, if somebody, one of my sources called up and said, we're going to do a home invasion on 123 Main Street tomorrow at 2 o'clock, would you imagine me not picking up the phone and making sure that the local police and the homeowner knew that there was a home invasion coming? Well, imagine if somebody came in and said, we know that something's going to come in and shut down your access to financial institutions in Baltimore, but we can't tell you. Here's the odd part. An FBI agent can come after the crime has been committed and knock on your door and say, did you know a crime has just been committed? That is about the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And if we don't change the law soon, we are disadvantaging our ability, not for the government to protect those networks, but for you to protect your own networks. And for those CIOs, for the larger companies here, and for the CEOs who have CIOs, Chief Information Officers, if they ever come into your office and say, don't worry about it, I got it covered, best you find a new CIO. No CIO in this country can withstand nation states with thousands of people dedicated to getting into your system. Sooner or later, they're going to win, you're going to lose. We need to stand together on this. Hopefully we'll have an opportunity to do this and convince the Senate, as Dutch has said, in a bipartisan way, by the way, that this is the right way forward. I appreciate your interest in it. If one of the things that Dutch and I like to do is have these speeches because we never get invited back to a second one because we're so damn depressing. Or the next time they have it, they normally have drinks at the table. But we figure if we can't sleep at night, neither should you. So thanks for having me. I appreciate it very much. Bye-bye.